Rate the race. Marina Bay Circuit, Singapore 2017. Mean reader score 5.55. This is the worst score for quite a few years for this circuit. 6.77, 6.56, 5.65 and 5.62 for 2016, 15, 14, and 13, which is hardly surprising, as although the race lasted the full 2 hours and didn't get as far as the full 61-lap race distance, it was pretty much over within seconds of lights out. A massive downpour earlier in the day washed the track clean, and for the first time in its 10-year history, we had a wet race in Singapore. No running had been done on wet or intermediate tires the whole weekend. What can I say? The race itself may have been pretty dull, but the start has fueled more opinions as to who should or should not have done what than any other this season. Once again, we had 3 cars all trying to get into the same place at the same time with catastrophic results. Being an anti-clockwise circuit and the first turn a left-hander, pole position wasn't necessarily the best place to start from, as the pole sitter was on the wrong side of the track in some respects. Raikkonen P4 got off to a great start, getting ahead of Verstappen P2 up the inside. Vettel meanwhile closed down the gap from the outside, leaving Verstappen in the middle. Verstappen's front wheel touched Raikkonen's rear wheel, sending him barreling into Vettel P1, ripping a massive hole in Vettel's side pod and sending himself skittering uncontrollably into Verstappen and picking up an unsuspecting Alonso, who had also made a good start along the way. All 3 cars were out shortly thereafter. The next thing we saw was Vettel, who almost lost the lead to Hamilton after the carnage, steering Gina backwards into turn 3, having slipped on his own radiator fluid, hit a wall and taken off his front wing. He was also out of the race. Hamilton must have thought that of all his Christmases had come at once, or B, he really is blessed, as starting from P5 with Vettel and P1 now out of the race, it looked as if he really could win this one. 3 safety cars later, and with only a dozen cars finishing the race, we settled into a procession pretty much for the remaining 2 hours. Honorable mentions for Sainz, who, finishing in P4, had his biggest points haul of the season, Palmer, who scored his first points of the season, and Magnussen, who had a couple of pretty risky overtakes before having to retire. Hamilton won the race, Ricciardo brought home the points for Red Bull in second place, and Bottas kept his head down and managed to come home third, salvaging what for him had been a difficult weekend. Driver of the weekend Lewis Hamilton. 28.39% of reader vote. At the beginning of the weekend, Hamilton said he'd need a miracle to retain his position at the top of the driver's standings in the WDC. Well, his prayers were indeed answered, and not only did he win the race, Formula One Driver of the Day and Fastest Lap Award 148.008, he also managed to increase his lead over Vettel from 3 to 28 points, and he won our Driver of the Weekend accolade as well. Not bad from a P5 start on a track notoriously difficult for overtaking. Well done, Lewis. Carlos Sainz, seemingly bolstered by his new Renault deal, scored well in the race, finishing 4th, having starting from P10, and as such received 2nd in our reader poll. So, was the carnage at the start really a racing incident? Does Max the Wonder Kid deserve to be known as the new Maldonado? Verstappen is Hamilton blessed? Should Vettel have played it safe into turn 1 as the WDC championship fight between Vettel and Hamilton really over? Comments below please. Yes, I know you've already argued the toss on the above all week, but humor me at F1 thejudge.